We are on, I hope, 140 today, right?
Yep.
Okay. We'll try to do what we can. It's a lot of Gemara, so we'll cover as much as we can, all right? I just want to go back for a moment to the last line on 139b. We'll pick up there for the statement, "V'notnin beitzah b'masnenet," okay? That one could put the egg through a strainer, a mustard strainer, okay? And the Gemara, we said on the top of Kaf Mem 140, right? Because it's only done to color the food, okay? To color the white of the egg, okay? So itmar, right? Then we pick up, we went through a little bit, but we'll want to run through it again real quick. Chardal shalashu me'erev Shabbat lemachar. We said that the mustard seed that one would need, okay, which really means to crush, on Friday afternoon. Amar Rav, says Rav, b'macho b'kli, that one could crush it or dissolve it with a utensil. Aval lo biyad, but not with a hand. Amar le Shmuel biyad, and Shmuel said with a hand. Atu, since kol yoma memachu le biyad, do people normally on a daily basis crush it with their hand? Ma'achal chamarimhu, that's only if it's done for animal food, the donkeys. Ela Amar Shmuel, so Shmuel memacho biyad. So Shmuel, one dissolves it, crushes it by hand, ve'eno memacho b'kli, and does not do it with a kli. Itmar, as it was said, Rabbi Elazar Amar, echad ze v'echad ze asur. According to Rabbi Elazar, we found he says in both cases, by hand or by utensil, forbidden. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, says Rabbi Yochanan, echad ze v'echad ze mutar. Rabbi Yochanan said they were both permitted. Abai v'Rava, the Amrei Travaihu, the two of them said, Ein halacha ka Rabbi Yochanan. The law is not like Rabbi Yochanan. Kam Rabbi Yochanan, b'shitate de Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Yochanan changed his mind, and he went to follow the approach of Rabbi Elazar that neither hand nor utensil was permitted. Kam Rabbi Elazar b'shitate de Shmuel. And Rabbi Elazar changed his view to be that of Shmuel, that saying that the utensil was permitted. Okay? Abai v'Rav Damrei Travayu halacha Rabbi Yochanan. And the two of them said now that the law is like Rabbi Yochanan. And that's where we basically finished up yesterday, right? So continuing then on this discussion, okay, Gemara picks up Abai v'Rava, right? Says the following: Ime da Abai, the mother of Abai, who we know was really his nursemaid, Avdale v'lo achal, made it for him. In other words, this kind of egg, and he didn't eat it. The Beitaihu de Zeira Avdale v'Rav Chia bar Ashi v'lo achil, and the wife of Rabbi Zeira made it for Rav Chia bar Ashi, and he did not eat it. Amarle, so she says to him, the Rabcha avidi leva achal, for your teacher, I prepared it. In other words, Rabbi Zera, okay, and he would eat it. Va'at lo achlat, and you don't eat it. Amar Rava bar Shava, says Rava bar Shava, another issue. Hava ka'amina kame de Ravina. I was once standing before Ravina. Ubechashele b'shufta detuma. He says, and they stirred for him a, let's call it a, someone here, a stalk of garlic. Others want to say it's an inner piece of the garlic, right? Va'achal, and he ate it, implying that stirring these items together was implying that he accepted that that was permissible on Shabbat. Amar Marzutra, says Marzutra, Lid halchata kichol hani shma'ata. The law, says Marzutra, is not like all these opinions. Okay? Ela kiha, but it's like this. The itmar, where it is, chardal shalashu me'erev Shabbat lemachar, that if you had the mustard seed that was needed, okay, on Friday afternoon for the next day, for Shabbat, memacho bein biyad bein bekli. One can crush it, dissolve it, either by hand or by an instrument, a utensil. V'notem v'tocho dvash, and you can put into it honey. V'lo yitrof, but you can't beat it. Ela ma'arev, right? But rather you can mix it gently. Okay, shlichayim, okay, cress, v'shachag kan, and if you chop it, me'erev Shabbat, lemachar notem v'tochan shemen v'chometz. The next day on Shabbat, you can add to it oil and vinegar. Umamshich letochan hamita. Okay, and then, okay, you can even add to it some amitha. Right, amitha was again a kind of cress, a kind of plant that was a spice. Okay, actually, it's probably mint. Velo yitrof, and one should not beat it. Ela ma'arev, but mix it gently. Another example. Shum, sherisku me'erev Shabbat. Okay, if you have garlic and you crushed the garlic on Friday, lemachar noten lecha pul. The next day on Shabbat, you may put the beans in it, ugrisin, and even grits. Velo yishchok, okay, but you can't pound it, ela ma'arev, but you can mix it gently. Umamshich et amita letochan, and then you can add amita, we're suggesting it's mint, to it as well. My amita, so the Gemara asks, what is this amita? Ninya, it is ninya, okay? Which, as I said, is a kind of mint. Amar Abai, Shmamina, Hai Ninya, Ma'alya Latachle. We learned from this that this kind of mint is a good for let's say seasoning, okay? For mixing, pounding, mixing, putting it in to give a taste to something. Okay, our Gemara is now going to pick up another phrase from our Mishnah. Right? Va'osin anumalin b'Shabbat, and one may prepare anumalin. Now we said that anumalin was a kind of drink the other day. I believe it was a mixture of wine and honey. Okay, so Tanu Rabbanan, says Abraita, Osin anumalin b'Shabbat, that one may make anumalin b'Shabbat, ve'ein osin alunatit, but one may not make alunatit. Now, the Gemara is going to ask, ve'ezo hi anumalin, ve'ezo hi alunatit. So what is this anumalin and what is this alunatit? Anumalin, yayin udavash upilpilin. Okay, anumalin is a drink, okay, of wine and honey and some spices, okay? All right. What alunatit? What is alunatit? Yayin yashan, it's old wine. Umayin slulin, and clear water. Va'afar simon, and one adds some balsam to it. The avde lebe masota, okay, and one does it for healing purposes. Okay, what does it mean for healing purposes? Okay, right. Mekar, to cool off. Okay, in other words, when one is, it's almost a somewhat of a kind of a drink, but it's clearly done for more for medical purposes than simply to quench thirst. Okay, Amar Rav Yosef, says Rav Yosef Zimna Chada, one time, Alit Batar Mar Ukva Lebebani. Says one time I followed, entered the bath after Mar Ukva, right, the bathhouse, Kinafke, okay, when he came out then, right, Atai, I came, Ashkihin Chamra Chad Kasa, and I drank a cup of this, let's call it wine, in other words, of this mixture. V'chashe mivinta derashe va'ad tufra bekare. He said, and I felt the hairs on my head all the way down to the nails on my feet, my toenails. In other words, that's how chilling it was. The ish kayin kasa achrina, and had I drunk another cup, have mistafina de la'uma manchuli maskuta da'ama. Sorry. And he said, I was afraid that if I were to drink another glass, all right, of it, I would lose my place in the world to come. Okay? Or I would lose my merit for the world to come. Da'ate, all right? So he says, so he comes. Vahama ukva deshate kol yoma. But, says the Gemara here, Ma Ukva drinks it every day. Shani Mar Ukva Didashbe. Mar Ukva is different because he was accustomed to it. He was used to that kind of liqueur or drink. Okay? Okay. Now, I'll go back to our general subject with a new Mishnah. Okay? Matnitin, says our Mishnah. Ein shorin et hachilatit b'poshrin. We do not soak a plant called asafoetida, right, in medium water, okay, temperate water. Aval noten letoch hachometz, but one can put it into vinegar. Now, asafoetida was a plant that was used for partly a drink, partly medicinal, things like that. Okay? Ve'en sholin et karshinin. Okay? And also, says the Mishnah, okay? One cannot, let's say, float or soak, okay? Karshinin, which is leeks, okay? V'lo shafin otam, and one doesn't rub them. Aval notem letoch hakivra, okay? But one can put them in a kind of basket, okay, or a sieve, right? Or letoch hakalkala, or a kind of basket. Ein kovrin et hateven bekivra. Okay, we also say that we don't sift straw, okay, in a sieve, right? Velo yitnenu al gabe makom gavoa, nor can we put it in a high place, b'shvil sheyired hamutz, so that the chaff will flow away. Aval notel hu bekivra. But we can put it again in a kind of sieve, v'notem latoch ha'ibus, and we can also put it into a water trough, a feeding trough. Now, the Gemara is again clarifying what we saw here. Ibayalahu. So the sages asked the following kind of question. Sarah, if one did soak it, right, dissolve it, mahi, what's the situation, says the Gemara. Tirgama Rav Ada, says Rav Ada, Nir Sha'a Kame, the Rav Yosef. Rav Ada of Narish, he said before Rav Yosef, Shara Chayav Chatat, that if one soaked it, okay, this asafoetida, it's the resin, kind of resin from the plant that's used, all right, one is going to be subject to obligatory chatat. Amar le Abai, and so Abai responds, Elameata, from here then, Shara umsa b'maya, okay, that would seem then to imply that it would be permissible to soak raw meat in water. Hachinami, here too, demechayim. In that case too, would the person then be obligated to bring a chatas? Ela amar Abaye midrabanan. Rather, Ra Abaye says this was a rabbinical prohibition. Shelo ya'ased kederech shehu oseh b'chol. In order to inform the person that he cannot do it in the manner that he does it during weekdays. Now, Ba'imine Rabbi Yochanan mi Rabbi Yanai. Okay, so Rabbi Yochanan asks Rabbi Yanai the following. Mahu lishrot et hachaltit b'tzonei. Okay, we saw our Mishnah said that one could not soak cress, okay, in temperate water. Okay, what about soaking it in cold water? Amarle, he said to him, asur, that it's forbidden. And he cites then, Vaha, but here, Anantanan, we taught, Ein shorin et hachalatit b'poshrin, that it says in our Mishnah that one doesn't soak the cress in temperate water. Okay? Ha, but sonein mutar. Here, then in cold water, wouldn't that be permitted? Amar le imkain, ma bein le v'lach. If that's the situation, he says, okay, what's the difference between your view and my view? Okay, Amar le, right? He says, matnitin yichida'ahi. Our Mishnah, he says, is simply the view of a individual, right? The Tanya, as it was taught in the Braita, ein shorin et hachalatit, one does not soak cress, okay? Lo bechamin velo betzonein, neither in hot water nor in cold water. Rabbi Yossi Omer, bechamin asur, betzonein mutar. And Rabbi Yossi was the one who disagreed, saying that it's forbidden to do it in hot water, but cold water is permitted. Lamai avdele, okay? So the question the Gemara asks then is, okay, why is this the case? In other words, what's the purpose of that one might soak it? Liokra deliba, because of heaviness of heart. One translation, however, has a suggestion that it's a kind of remedy for asthma, okay? Chest, issue, congestion perhaps in the chest. Rav Acha bar Yosef, chash b'yukra deliba. And we have this story where he says Rav Acha bar Yosef suffered with this yokra deliba, asthma, congestion, okay? Atalakami de Mar Ukva, okay? And he went before Mar Ukva, Amarle, and said to him, Zil shate tlata tikle chilatata. He tells him, instead to go and drink 3 golden dinar measurements of chilata on 3 days, right? Chilata, betlata, yomi. In other words, it's not clear whether he was to drink 3 measurements each day or 1 each day. In either case, what happened, says the Gemara, Azal ishte chamsha b'Shabbat. He went and drank it on a Thursday, right? 5th day of the week. Uma'alei Shabbat. And he drank it on Friday. Letzafra, in the morning, Azal sha'al be midrasha amrule. He went next, and in the morning he asked the sages in the base midrash, and they said to him, Tana de be Rav Yada. It was taught in the academy of Rav Ada, the following, Va'amre la Tana de be Mar bar Rav Ada. Others say it was the academy of Mar, the son of Rav Ada. Shote Adam kav o kabayim ve'eno choshesh. That a person may drink a kav or 2 kavs of a liquid, okay? And we're probably here talking about a liquid that may have medicinal benefit without any fear of breaking Shabbat. Amar lahu, and he said to them, Lishtot lo kimibayeli. Okay, I wasn't questioning about drinking. Ki kamibayeli lishrot. But what I was questioning about, okay, was dissolving it, soaking it. Mai, what's the situation there? Amar lahu Rav Chia bar Avin. He said to him, Rabbi Chia bar Avin, Bididi hava uvda. He said, this certain case happened to me as well. Okay? Va'atai she'ilte the Rav Ada bar Ahava. And I went and I asked Ushaila a question of Rav Ada bar Ahava. V'lo hava biyadeh. And he didn't have it in hand. In other words, he didn't have a direct answer. Atai she'ilte the Rav Huna. I went and I asked a Shaila of Rav Huna. Va'amar, and he says, Hachi ka'amar Rav. This is what Rav says. Shoreh batzonein umaniach bechama. Okay, that one can soak it in, dissolve it, let's say, in cold water, and then place it in the sun. Keman deshari, according to whom then, okay, is this permitted, this kind of process? Afilu leman da'asar, okay, even according to the one who forbids, hani mili heichedelo ishte klal. Okay, that's a situation, okay, only if one hadn't drank any of this, okay, so far. They hadn't started, let's say, the regimen of drinking it. Aval hacha, here, kevan de ishte chamsha, umat le shabda. But here, since you sort of started it, and you drank it on Thursday, and you drank it Erev Shabbos, ilo shate b'Shabbat, okay, mistakein. If you don't drink it on Shabbat, you're putting yourself in danger. In other words, so that one, implying if one started the medication before Shabbat, one could still then take it on Shabbat. Okay. Now, mistamich, says the Gemara. All right. Says the following. Va'azil Rav Acha bar Yosef, akatfe Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak bar Achte. That in this case, Rav Acha bar Yosef was leaning on, as he walked, the shoulder of Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak, the son of his sister. Amarle, he said to him as follows. Kimat, this is a new piece, of course. Kimatinum lebe Rav Safra. Hailina, he says, when we arrive at Rav Safra's house, he says, bring me in, lead me in, right? Kimatu alai, okay, when they arrive there, ba'amine, he asked him the following, Mahu lekas kuse kitinta, okay? So he's asking them, what about a situation on Shabbat where you want to rub a linen shirt on Shabbat? Okay. So the question, he responds, Lerkuche kitinta kamechaven v'shapir dami. Do we indicate that the rubbing out of the stiffness of a linen shirt on Shabbat is the purpose, Lerechuche kitna, to soften the shirt? Is that his intent? V'shapir dami, and that is well to be done. O dilma leolude chivare kimechaven va'asor. Or are we saying that his purpose in rubbing the shirt is to brighten its whiteness, okay, to make the shirt whiter, cleaner, something like that, okay? And therefore it's forbidden, and therefore if that's the intent, then it's forbidden. Amarle, he said to him, Lekuche kamechaven, to soften it, if that's the intent, b'shapir dami, okay, and that is appropriate. Kinafak, when he went out, Ata, Rav Nachman came to him, and Amarle, he said to him, Mai ba marmine, what did the master ask of him? Okay, Amarle, he said to him, Bai mine mahu lekasukuse kit nita b'shavta. What is the situation about rubbing a linen shirt on Shabbat? Va'amarli shapir dami. And he responded to me that it was well to be done. V'tabayele. And so I asked him, Lemar Sudra, right? So I asked the master, what about a scarf or a kind of kerchief? Sudra lo kamabai le. I didn't ask, he said, about a scarf or a kerchief. The bai mi Rav Huna, okay? Because that question was asked of Rav Huna, who pashit le, and he explained it to me. The tivshit le, lemar misudra, okay? And he said, basically at that point, you could solve it from the situation of a scarf or a kerchief. Amar le hatam mikaze li ki oludu chivura. It would there, in that case, it would appear that the purpose is to brighten the whiteness. Okay, in other words, it's almost a form of laundering, which on Shabbat, which is forbidden. Hacha lo mechaze ke olude chivura. And here, regarding the shirt, it does not an act to make the shirt whiter. So it's not like laundering. It's simply to soften the shirt to make it more wearable on Shabbat. Amar Rav Chisda. And so Rav Chisda then says, Hi kitnita. Okay, this shirt, he says, Mishlafu. Okay, let's go over. Ledida Mikanya. Okay, he says to remove it from cane, it's permitted. Okay, what do we mean by to remove it from the cane? Okay, right. Linen shirts were hung with a rod or a stick going across, the same way we use a hanger. If you bring it to the cleaners, they put it on a hanger sometimes. Okay, so they would use a cane so that the sleeves would hang out. Okay, and one must, the question is, to be able to put the shirt on Shabbat, okay, can one handle the cane? Because that's really considered something that's muktzah. Okay, so, all right, so therefore, Shari, he says, to draw out the cane, okay, is permitted. Right? All right, to draw the shirt from the cane was permitted. Okay, Kanya mimena, but to draw the cane from the shirt is forbidden. Okay, let's go on now. Following. All right, Amar Rava, says Rava, v'im kli kivai. He says, and what if it's a implement that is a weaver's utensil? Hu mutar. That then is permitted, because in that situation, okay, it's generally a utensil and not necessarily a muktzah item. Okay, Amar Rav Chisda. Now we're going to get to a whole series of statements in regards to certain behaviors. Okay, right? So various sages. Hi Kishta. Let's say we have a certain, okay, diakra, a bundle of vegetables. Ichaz yelemachal, if it's worthy of eating, behema, as an animal. In other words, it's animal food. Shari v'tiltule, it's permitted to carry it on Shabbat. Ve'ilo, and if not, okay, asir, it's forbidden. Again, a new statement. Amar Rav hiya bar Ashi. Amar Rav, in the name of Rav. Okay, Hai Talia de Bisra, a hook, a kind that's a meat hook, right? Shari l'tiltule, it's permitted to handle it. The chavare, okay, but a fish hook, asir, is forbidden. Amar Rav Katina, says Rav Katina, ha'omed be'emsa hamita, one who stands in the middle of a marriage bed, ke'ilu omed bekrisa shel isha. It's like he's standing on the stomach of a woman. V'lav miltahi, and this is an inappropriate thing to do. Next, V'amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda bar Rav, and regarding when a scholar, okay, comes to Zavin Yeka and purchases vegetables, Liz bin Aricha, he should buy them long, okay? Kisha, kikisha, and bunch, and buy them by the bunch. V'orcha mimela, okay? Why? Because the length is going to be in general. V'amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda, bar be'rav d'zavim kanya. Let's say there's a student of the rabbis, okay, and we're assuming that the students don't have a lot of money, and so this is advice, further advice. Kanya, okay, if he's buying reeds, all right, Liz bin Aricha, there too he should buy longer ones. Tuna, kitunya, all right, if he buys, okay, a bundle, okay, let him buy a bunch, okay, why? Kituna ve'orcha mimela, and the long ones come, okay, basically by themselves. In other words, you get more use out of it. Another example. Va'amar Rav Chisda, bar be Rav, okay, again, a student of the rabbis, Delona Fishale Rifta, who doesn't have a lot of bread. Lo lichol yarka, he should not, in this case, eat vegetables. Mishum degaria, because it's going to make him hungry. Okay, it's going to, make him va'amar Rav Chisda, and again, Rav Chisda says, Ana lo ba'aniyute achle yarka. When I was poor, I didn't eat vegetables. Velo ba'at tirute achle yarka. And when I was wealthy, I didn't eat vegetables. Baniyute mishum degaria. Okay, when I was poor, because it would make me more hungry, increase my appetite. Ba'atirute da'amina heicha da'ayil yarka li'ol bisra v'chavare. And when I was wealthy, I would say to myself, where I would consume, let's say, vegetables, instead, let me consume meat and fish. Okay. All right, let's go on. Another. Va'amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda. Bar be Rav, again, a student, right? V'delona fishale rifta, that doesn't have a lot of bread. Lo liftsae b'tzoy. He should not, in this case, divide up his meal or break up the bread a lot. Va'amar Rav Chisda. Okay, bar be Rav, delona fishale rifta. Again, that the student then that doesn't have a lot of bread, all right? Lo livtzai, when he says he shouldn't break bread, this time for guests. My tama, what's the reasoning? Delo avid ba'ayin yafeh, because he's not going to do it generously. Va'amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda, Ana me'ikara lo have b'tza'ana. Okay, he says to the, right? Okay, when I would break bread, okay, right, originally, lo have b'tza'ana ad sha'ade yadei b'kuli mana. Okay, I didn't have, so to speak, in my pocket enough, okay, to enough money to have what I needed. Okay, ad shade yade bekule mana, to be able to acquire all the items that I needed. Va'ashkeche be kol tzorke, to be able to find all that I needed. Va'amar Rav Chisda. This again says Rav Chisda. Hai man de efsharle lamichal nechama desale. Says Rav Chisda is again advising for that person that is able to eat barley bread, va'achal dechite, and he eats wheat bread, ka'avar mishum bal tashchit. Okay, it's as if he is transgressing the law of Baal Tashchit, that you should not destroy. Again, Va'amar Rav Papa. Says Rav Papa, Haiman Deshar Mishte Shikra. The person, says Rav Papa, who is able to drink beer, Vishate Chamra, and drinks wine, Over Mishum Baal Tashchit, also transgresses the law of you shouldn't about tashchit. Velav miltehi, and it's really not such a significant item. He says, Baal tashchit the gufa adif. Okay, why? Because not destroying your own body is preferable. New piece. Va'amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda, bar be Rav. Again, the student, Delit le mishcha, okay, that doesn't have oil, nimshe b'maya decharitzi, should therefore wash in water that has the pits, if you will. That, in other words, the pits of the olives, and use that in a sense as a kind of semblance of the oil. Okay? V'amar Rav Chisda, again, bar Rav, the student, dezavin umsa, if he's going to purchase raw meat, okay, lizbin unka, he should buy the neck of the animal, the itbe tlata mine bisra, because that has 3 kinds of meat. Another, va'amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda, bar Rav dezavin kitunita. Okay, the student again who purchases this linen shirt. Back to that. Lizban midinahar abba. Okay, in that case, he said, right, he should buy it from Nahar Abba, okay, which is an area, right? I guess it was the discount area in Babylonia, right? V'nichvara kol tlatin yomi, okay? And he should wash it, that shirt, every 30 days, right? Okay, clean it, whiten it every 30 days. The miftaye le tracer yarche shata. And then it will remain, okay, it will be wearable, I guess, for 30, right, for almost 12 months afterwards. In other words, the shirt would be good for almost a whole year. Va'ana arva, he says, and I guarantee it. My kitinanita, what do we mean when we call this a linen shirt? Kita na'eh. Okay, it means that it's made from fine flax, right? In other words, good quality. Okay, va'amar Rav Chisda, and then Rav Chisda gives another example. It says, bar Rav lo litiv atzifta harata. Okay, a student should not sit on a new hemp mat, right? The mechilia ma'ane, because that is going to ruin his garments. Va'amar Rav Chisda, again says Rav Chisda, bar Rav, the student, lo l'shader ma'ane ushpaziza lechavre le, should not give his clothing to his hostess. In other words, wherever he's staying, okay, lechavre le, to whiten it, to wash it. Delav orach ara, because that's not a proper activity. In other words, the concern is why? Dil machaze be'midei, that perhaps she'll see something on it. Implication is that if it's a underwear kind of garment, maybe she will see something that's not appropriate, right? Right? And what happens if she sees, if he had whatever, an evening, a night, something, Dil machaze be'midi, va'ate lemignaya, and she will come to have a lower opinion of him, to despise him. Again, new statement. Amar laho Rav Chisda levante. Rav Chisda once said to his daughters, to have a tzni'atan ba'ape gavraichu. Okay, act modestly before your husbands. Lo tichlun nechama ba'ape varchaichu. Don't eat a lot of bread in front of your husbands. Lo tichlun yarka balavia, and don't eat a lot of vegetables at night. Okay, the implication I think, being there that that would produce some sort of odor. Velo tishtun shikra balelia. Okay, and he told them also, don't drink beer at night. Okay, because it has a possibility of needing the restroom. Okay, velo tifnun. Okay, hecha demafne gvarcha raichi, and don't relieve yourself in the same place where your husband relieves himself. Okay, v'chika ka'are. Okay, akava inish, and in a situation, he says, when someone calls at the door, okay, a baba inish, a person knocks on the door, lo timrun mano, don't say, who is he? Okay, ella mani, but who is she? In other words, don't let your husband have some concerns about who you are dealing with. Nakit marganita bechada yade. So one time Rav Chisda took a pearl in one hand, vekura bechada yade, and in his other hand he took a grain of clod of earth, a grain, some seeds with earth. Okay, marganita, achaze laho. Okay, the pearl he revealed to them. Okay, right. Vechura lo achze lahem, and the seed, the grain or the clod of earth, he did not show them. Ad mitzta'aran. Okay, until they were, I don't want to say suffering, but until they, were questioning him and bothering him and things like that with curiosity. V'hadar achle laho. And afterwards, he showed it to them. The message being that clearly there are situations where, okay, curiosity, the old saying, curiosity killed the cat. Okay, in other words, here in this case, don't let your curiosity get the better of you. Okay, the next, right? And afterwards he showed them. Okay, a new piece now. Ein sholim et hakarshinim. We said that one doesn't soak or float the leeks. Matnitin the lo kahai tana. Our Mishnah is not like this particular Tana that taught as follows. Okay, Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Omer ein mashkichin bekivara kol ikar, who says that one must not look at even at the strainer at the sieve at all. Okay, implying that one can't even handle it whatsoever on Shabbat. Matnitin. We come back now to our new Mishnah. Gorfin milifnei haptam. Okay. Umisalkim litzdadim. Our new Mishnah says one can sweep out the stall. Okay. Okay. And umisalkim litzdadim, and sweep to the sides. Mipnei harai. Okay, because of remnants. In other words, dung or urine, things like that. Okay, divrei Rabbi Dasa. This is the words of Rabbi Dasa, v'chachamim osrim, and the sages forbid it. Nodlin milifnei behema zo v'nodlim lifnei behema zo b'Shabbat. That one can take from one animal and food and give to another animal on food on Shabbat. Gemara, Ibailahu. So they asked the rabbis, Rabbanan, according to the rabbis, Aresha pligi, do they disagree also with the first clause? Or Asefa pligi, or do they disagree with the later part of the Mishnah? Or Atravayu pligi, or do they disagree with both parts? Hashma, listen to the following Braita. Titania is taught in the Braita. V'chachamim omrim, says the sages, echad zeh v'echad zeh lo yisalkenu l'tzdadim. Okay, that the sages say this one and this one must not be moved to the side. Amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda, machloket be'ivus shel karka. There, that argument really deals with a trough that is dug into the ground. Aval be'ivus shel kli, but if it's a trough that's above ground, a utensil, okay, divrei hakol mutar. There, we're talking about that it is permitted. Ve'ivus shel karka, and a trough in the ground, me'ika leman deshari, is there anyone that permits it? Ha, ka mashvei gumot. But isn't that similar to filling in the holes? Ela I itmar hachi itmar. But rather, if it was said, this was how it was said, Amar Rav Chisda, says Rav Chisda, machloket be'ivus shel kli, that the argument was regards to a trough that was a utensil. Aval be'ivus shel karka divrei hakol asur. But in a trough that was made out of the ground, everybody agrees that it is forbidden. V'not lin milifnei behema, says the next part of our Mishnah. And you can take the food from one animal and give it to another. Right? Tanachada, one Braita teaches, not lin milifnei behema shapiha yafeh, v'not lin lifnei behema shapiha ra. Okay, that one can give it from an animal, okay, where its mouth is appropriate. In other words, it doesn't drool, okay, on the food, and give it to an animal that does drool. Vatanya idach, another Braita teaches, lin milifnei behema shapiha ra, that you can take the food from an animal that drools, v'not lin lifnei behema shapiha yafeh, and put it before an animal that does not drool. Amar Abai, says Abai, idi ve'idi mekame chamra. Excuse me. Both this and this deal with before a donkey, lekame Torah, or before an ox. Shaklinen mekame Torah, lekame chamra. We can take from before an ox and put it before, okay, lekame chamra, lo shakilenu. But before a donkey, we cannot take it. V'hadikatani notel milifnei behema shapiha yafa. And here where it teaches that one can take it from an animal that doesn't drool. B'chamur delidle riri. We're talking about a clearly a donkey that does not have spittle, that doesn't drool. V'notnim lefnei behema shapiha ra. And then we can put it before an animal that does drool. B'para, with example of a cow. Right, let's just go over a tiny bit. The eat la riri, that does have drool. Okay. Vaha, the katani notlin milifnei behema shapiha ra. And here where it says that we can take it from an animal that its mouth is bad, that does drool, the lo diek va'achil. Okay, where the animal, okay, is not careful about how it's eating. All right, v'not nin lifnei behema shapiha yafeh, and then we can take it, and it says we can take it from an animal that is careful about eating, bepara, like a cow, the daika va'achla. Okay, that is careful and particular about what it eats. And we're going to stop right there, okay, on 141. We wish everybody a good Shabbos, okay, and the rest of the week tomorrow for Shabbos, it's material that continues again. with a number of clear statements of what's permitted by various or not permitted by various rabbis, and we'll pick up on Sunday morning. Okay. Everybody have a good Shabbos and stay well.
Thank you, you too. Good Shabbos.
Yeah.
Be well.
Thank you, Rabbi. Now I get the picture. Now it's gone already. I don't know what happens here. Falling asleep.
I didn't fall asleep.
Oh, there you are. I couldn't get the picture to go on the whole time. Okay. See,